You know, it's one of my favorite things coming out of the garden are fresh cucumbers. There's really nothing like it. And so when it's time to plant my cucumbers in my garden, it's actually one of my favorite times of year. So I'm going to show you how to do cucumbers two different ways. And I've done them both ways. And they both produce cucumbers about the same time. So it takes about the same amount of time to produce cucumbers if we do them from seed as if we do them from plants. So we're going to plant to plant, but we're also going to plant a little bit of seed and see how that works. So if I'm going to plant cucumbers by seed, there's really two different ways to do them by seed. One's in a hill and one's in a row. And personally, I like to put them in a row, and I put one seed about every 3 or 4 inches. And then when they come up, they trail all over the place. So you get this nice big thick patch of cucumbers. So what I do is I make a little furrow, just a little small furrow, not very deep, just barely deep enough to really cover up those cucumber seeds. And we're going to put just one seed every couple inches. So Tasty Green is my favorite cucumber. So we're going to use Tasty Green. It's a nice long 10 to 12 inch, really skinny, delicious cucumber, very small seed cavity, really mild flavor, handles the heat really well throughout the summer. And what I usually do is I'll just put like one seed about every 2 to 3 inches. And there's actually 2 seeds there, so that's all right. But I'll just plant those just a little bit apart from each other. And when I get the cucumber seeds in there, I usually like to put a little bit of fertilizer in there, either a tomato and vegetable food. There's some really nice slow release fertilizers that we can use to put just like right in the row with the seed or afterwards once they start coming up. So really this time around, we're going to cover them up with a nice coconut coir potting soil mixture, and I've got that mixed up right here in my wheelbarrow. So we're going to just barely cover those up. I've already mixed my potting soil coconut coir. That's going to help hold moisture like crazy. So these are just going to be barely covered up. So we're just going to cover those up with, once we tamp it down, probably 1/2 inch of soil. Oop, a little heavy right there, but that's all right. We'll spread it out. That should work. We're going to spread that out. And once we kind of tamp those down just a little bit, this is going to hold moisture and it's going to help hold heat. And the soil is going to dry out on the surface, but it's going to hold that moisture down below, right where those cucumber seeds are coming up. And they're going to come up in about 3 or 4 days. Nice, warm, sunny days. They're going to come up like crazy. So I like to kind of compress them down just a little bit. And then once I get those compressed down, then I'll water them with my combination of Kangaroots and Seedlingers Universal Plant Food. And once we do that, then those seeds are just ready to come up. So we'll grab our watering can. There's our 2 products that we're going to use, the Kangaroots and the Seedlingers Universal Plant Food. And just a little bit of water on top of those. Great thing about the coconut coir is it just absorbs that moisture up really fast. Can you see it's not like puddling right on the surface? It's absorbing it in almost instantly. And as we lightly water those, that moisture is going to go down there and those seeds are going to come up in no time. So we can plant seeds like that. Really simple and easy to do. We're going to have one plant coming up about every 3 or 4 inches. And once we get those starting to come up, then I'll use my handy cages right in with the cucumbers, and they'll climb right up my handy cages, and then I have cucumbers dangling down. So having a little trellis for the cucumbers really makes it easy, makes it super nice when you're picking cucumbers and they're just like right there where to get them. If we're going to do plants, now I started these exactly 10 days ago. So this is also Tasty Green. They've got their first true set of leaves just starting on those. Perfect plants ready to go. What I like to do is just dig a little bit bigger hole than what the pot's going to be. Usually if we've got a 4-inch pot, I like to go 3 times the size of the hole, of the size of the pot for the hole. So we're going to dig a much larger hole than what that pot is. So that's why I like digging holes with the shovel, because we're going to go much larger. As you can see, that hole is much bigger than my plant. So we're at least 3 times, if not 4 times the size of the pot that's going to go in there. And we're going to use our same mixture. It's coconut coir, really nice potting mix. We're going to fill that hole right in with our nice potting mix. Let's put a little extra in there, just a little bit more, just to fill that in. All right, now we've got this nice big hole, really nice soil in there. And it's okay if you take the soil that you're taking out of the hole and mix that into your soil mix as well too. It'll make it a little bit more dense, but the plants will love it. So we're just gonna open that hole back up just a little bit. Now as we take these out, remember these are only 10 days old. So we planted them from seed 10 days ago. So they really only have about a week's worth of growth on there. And when we take them out of the pot, just squeeze the pot very gently. We don't want to crush it because it'll do damage to the root system. And there's going to be a lot of roots in there. Look at that. This whole pot is just like full of root system that's ready to go. You don't want to damage that root system, so leave it as intact as possible. Don't crush it. Don't mess with it. Just gently put those cucumbers right back in the hole. We're going to backfill right around them with our nice potting mix. Excellent. Then at this point, what I would normally do is water them in with my Kanga Roots and my Universal Plant Food. That combination just gives the root system a head start, gives them a jump start right out of the soil, and the plants won't go through transplant shock. They'll pick up that nutrient. Root system will really start to take off and fill that hole in that we dug and filled in with this potting soil. Those roots will just take off like crazy. We'll water those in, and I like to give them a little bit of shade and a little bit of protection once we first get them planted. Sometimes we get frost, sometimes we don't, but a little protection like a Grow It Now plant protector. We'll just put that right over the top of our cucumber. And this is one you want to stake down because it's windy at my house. And if I don't stake them down, they'll be at my neighbor's house. So we're going to stake those caps down. But it's gonna hold some heat. It's going to help retain the moisture when we water. It's going to hold that moisture a lot better. If it does get cold, we can close the tops up. We can protect our little seedlings if we get a late frost. So the Grow It Now plant protectors are awesome because they hold up a little bit better. Great for frost protection. They'll give you 5 degrees of added protection. You can open them up during the day so they ventilate out, and it's opaque, so it shades the plants just a little bit so they don't go through transplant shock on a nice hot sunny afternoon as well too. So 2 different ways to grow your cucumbers. We'll use our trellises to support those. You don't have to. And the extra weed barrier that we put down, that's going to really keep the weeds down. The vines are going to grow across the weed barrier or up our trellis, whichever way we decide to go. And it's going to keep the weeds down, help them accelerate their growth a little bit. They'll be producing cucumbers a lot faster. So cucumbers, one of my very favorite plants to grow in the garden. Can't wait till they start coming on. This is 2 excellent ways to plant your cucumbers.